What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? These questions, or ones like them, have been pulling at my heart and mind so many times in the last days, in the last weeks, the last months. There's the climate crisis. What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? These impeachment hearings. Will everything be okay? What's going to happen? What can I do? All the things going on in my personal life. What's going to happen? Is everything be okay? What can I do? All this month, Liz and I have talked in worship about what it means for us as Unitarian Universalists to be known and called in the world. Known and called in this beautiful, aching world, which seems like it needs now more than it ever has people just like you. People who are curious and compassionate and caring and authentic. We need people just like you. All month we've encouraged you to be people who are called to life. People who, when you find yourself in a winter season of life, that you stay resilient, knowing that underneath whatever the dead brambles are at that time, that there surely is new growth waiting to come through. We've invited you to remember that you are a people who are called to imagine divine disturbance, is what Liz told us that day. And for us to be people who can help create a new world and new possibilities, a just and equitable society. And last week we said we need to be people who are called to heal, and people who can navigate and live and thrive in those in-between places in the world that we so often find ourselves in, where we're holding both the beauty and the sadness. And how do we live as faithful people in those spaces? So today I'm reminding you that in addition to those things, we are also people who are called to courage, and that we are a people who are called to courage even when we feel frozen in place, too afraid to move even forward or backward. This past week, I was with one of my colleagues, Reverend Rick Hoyt McDaniels. Some of you know him well. And he talked about a video that he saw on Facebook, of all places. And he was actually using this as a reason that he continues to be on that platform. And so the video is of a lion and a herd of wildebeests. Now, have you all ever seen a wildebeest? And am I saying it correctly? Thank you. I'm from Arkansas, and I really want it to be wild a beast. They are kind of wild. So Rick describes them as smallish cows or rounded antelopes. And yeah, I know. I looked up a picture, rounded antelope. That might be stretching it, but we'll give him that creative license. And he says that they have up-curled horns like a bull, and that is true. I saw that in the picture. And so here's the scene. The videographer finds, out in the distance in the grass, a lion. And next to the lion is a wildebeest. And we think the wildebeest is probably dead because he is lying on its side, its legs extended out, frozen in fear, probably. And so after a little bit, you realize that he's flexing his legs. The wildebeest is alive despite being trapped in the jaws of a great big lion. The lion has its mouth around its snout, and he's holding onto it so tightly. And you think, okay, the wildebeest is not in a good situation, but his legs are moving, so there's some possibility here with the wildebeest. Meanwhile, you notice in the video that there's a herd of wildebeest watching and waiting. The scene playing out in front of them, and clearly they're kind and compassionate wildebeest. They are concerned about their friend, but they're not really sure what to do about it. They're scared of the lion, of course, but as a herd, you watch them move a little bit closer. And then the wildebeest at the front, he's feeling really brave that day. He cautiously approaches the lion and then runs back again, frightened. And then another wildebeest comes up, approaches the lion, and then he comes back to the herd, frightened. And the lion's not moving because he's the lion. And he still has the wildebeest clutched in his jaws. But one after another, several of the animals take their own turn and cautiously approach the lion. And then eventually, somehow, all these wildebeest realize that, the lion's not in a great situation here because we actually have him trapped. And the lion can't really do anything. The lion is just as trapped as the wildebeest in the lion's jaws. The lion can't defend itself from the herd without letting go of the wildebeest. And the lion, all by itself, faced with 30 hooves and horns of a herd of wildebeest, I don't care how big and scary that lion is, right? His odds aren't good. So finally, one of the brave wildebeest charges at the lion more aggressively. The lion lets go of the wildebeest, and he runs away a short distance. The downed wildebeest gets up, shakes itself off. It is alive, just as we had hoped. The wildebeest keep an eye on the lion. A couple charge at him again, and at last the lion's like, this is too much for me today, my friends. I am giving up. Yay, right? Cut, scene, over. And if you're Denise, you are so excited for the wildebeest. He's alive and free and running and living his best life. But you might also be thinking, well, what about the lion? Where's his dinner going to come from now? He's got to eat too. He doesn't have Melanie bringing a little bowl of food over to him. And maybe because you're a Unitarian Universalist, you're sitting there and you're holding both emotions. Hooray for the wildebeest and sadness for the lion who's still hungry. So it's kind of what we do, is find ways to hold joy and sorrow woven so fine, cup it in our hands. The wildebeest, their careful approach toward the lion, it reminded me of Melanie's character in our story for all ages today. You saw her fearfully, resolutely approach the lion again and again. Finally, Melanie got close enough to Jasper that she was able to stroke the puppet's fur and even built up enough trust that she could reach out and clip a whisker from its chin. The woman developed patience and courage over time. And that patience and courage, it didn't come out of nowhere. If you remember in the story, that patience and courage came out of a deep well of love and commitment that she had for a little boy. And that's what kept her going. The things that you and I are facing in our world today, climate crisis, all of the things that come out of the White House every single morning, whatever complexities you carry every single day, It makes it feel like the world can be a tough place. But we need people like you who are courageous enough to still love this world, to not be so fearful that you are frozen in place or run away. This word courage comes from the Latin cor, which means heart. And according to poet Mark Nepo, the original use of the word courage, it meant to stand by one's core, to live from the center, to enable us to face whatever it is life is showing us on that day. Sometimes we encounter stories about people of great bravery, and they face some impossible situation, and they are able to confront it and persevere, and they do it all alone. It's a little bit of a hero's journey. But you and I know that that's not all of that story. Rosa Parks didn't sit on that bus all by herself. We talked about Martin Luther King Jr. last week. He did not lead the civil rights movement all by himself. And whatever it is you have going on in your life, you are not doing it all by yourself. Having courage means that you and I aren't trying to go it alone. And this is embedded in our Unitarian Universalist principles. The third one asks us to encourage one another in our spiritual growth, to help each other have heart, to help each other stand by our core. We move together through times of sorrow and fear, through times of joy and great resiliency. And this is our work together as religious community. We encourage one another to help each other be bold and confronting and engaging the world around us, as well as whatever it is that's scaring us internally, to give one another the confidence and the heart to live as fully as possible. So if you feel courageous enough, look around at this group of people in the room. This is your herd of wildebeests, my friends. Who's got the upturned horns out today? One of you is probably internally lying on your side, wondering if you can keep your feet kicking. Others of you are standing at the ready to come charge forward when needed. You are each other's herd. What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? We ask this over and over and over again. And when you ask that question, you're not sending it out into the universe unheard. You're sending it out into your group of people who are ready to hear it and hold it and journey along with you. Breathe with me. Think about the ways you have courage and heart in your life and in this space. And our courage is forged in the fire of our coming together in simple moments and big moments. And our courage is felt in the spirit that comes alive in this one act of faith, that we still believe. That we still believe a better world is possible, that we still believe it is our hands together that will shape it that way, that our hands will shape it that way in the here and in the now. Take courage, friends. The way is not clear, but you are not alone. Let's sing into that fire of commitment and courage. Number 1028 in that teal hymnal, and rise as your body and spirit allow.